I'm Kiran Maestri. Welcome to Future for People. It's a podcast series dedicated to leaders who are shaping the future of work. Each week, we engage with senior leaders and delve into transformative dynamics of today's workforce. On that note, I'm thrilled to be joined by Mrs. Praveena, who is the co-founder and managing director at Maven Silicon, which is a top VLSI training provider. With over 18 years experience in the education field, Praveena evolved from being an educator to an industry leader, launching over 5,000 engineers into India's semiconductor industry. Under her leadership, Maven Silicon has become a benchmark for excellence in chip design education that is transforming the VLSI training industry. On that note, Praveena, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
Yeah, same here, Kiran. Thank you for having me on this podcast. Looking forward for the great conversation.
Same here, Praveena. In fact, I was very much looking forward for this interaction as well. I've heard a lot about you in terms of the transformation that you brought within Maven Silicon and the trainings that you provide for students within the VLSI industry, right? So it's a lot of things that we want to know from you from a leadership aspect, from a culture aspect, from an employee engage aspect as well. Look, reflecting on your journey from a trainer to a managing director at Maven Silicon, how did this transition happen? And we are more keen to understand as well, how did your leadership evolve?
So before I talk about how my leadership evolved, let me talk about myself and Maven Silicon so that you'll be able to understand better. So absolutely, from educator to managing director, it's a huge transformation, I would say. And actually, my roots are in electronics engineering. And I've always been super passionate about empowering the younger generation through education. Right? Yeah. And I kicked off my career in academia, as you rightly mentioned, teaching some hardcore electronic subjects like digital electronics, VLSI fundamentals, Verilog HTL and VHTL programming. Even as life evolved with marriage and a little one, my passion for teaching never faded. And fast forward a bit, my life partner Shiva, who is now the CEO and founder of Maven Silicon, was already a pioneer in the semiconductor industry. Our combined skills, passion, determination, and a shared vision led to the inception of Maven Silicon. So we started small from scratch with Shiva shaping ideas and expanding the business, while I led team training and day-to-day operations. And there you have it, Maven Silicon journey kicked off. The response from both industry and students has been phenomenal, I would say. Because of that, Maven Silicon has been leading VLSI training service provider for over a decade. And we have successfully deployed 5,000 plus fresh VLSI engineers in the semiconductor industry. And our expert trainers deliver a range of VLSI courses like logic design, design verification, design for test, physical design, ARM, RISC-V, right? We are not just doing it the traditional way, I would say. We are all about flexibility, offering courses offline, online, blended, part-time, and even on the weekends, right? And we are an ARM-approved training partner and a global partner of RISC-V International, along with the collaborations with EDA companies, Synopsys and Siemens. What sets us apart is our ability to globally train engineers in large numbers, tackling the workforce shortage head-on in the semiconductor industry. And our offering include cost-effective multi-year learning subscriptions, strategically crafted, so we can elevate the skill sets of a diverse global engineering workforce. Furthermore, I would say we specialize in delivering both standardized and customized corporate training solutions as well. With an impactful commitment to community outreach, Maven Silicon has positively influenced over 50,000 students through our free VLSI courses every year. And even additionally, our engagement extends to hosting multiple free VLSI webinars with 1,000 plus participants for every event aimed at imparting awareness among the students about the dynamic semiconductor industry. Complementing this, we have been successfully organizing numerous hands-on workshops, enriching the practical learning experience too. We also conduct lots of faculty development programs, a comprehensive initiative offering seminars, webinars, and workshops tailored for faculties especially across various universities in India, all provided at no cost. So this program empowers the educators to stay abreast of the latest industry knowledge and tools, ultimately enhancing the quality of education they deliver to the students. It's all about me and Maven Silicon. You asked about my leadership style, right? Believe it or not, Kiran, my leadership style has gone through quite the evolution, I would say. Initially, I was all about micromanaging, driven by fear of failure, obviously, right? But over time, I've made a conscious efforts to shift gears, right? So now I've cultivated a culture of ownership among my next level leaders, empowering them to make decisions confidently. As a leader, it's crucial to be unbiased, right? So my focus extends beyond just leading. I'm always on the lookout for the next generation of leaders aspiring to make Maven Silicon exceptional. Some thrive as individual contributors, while others shine in managerial roles, right? So I feel it's all about recognizing and leveraging those strengths to the fullest is very essential, I believe. It's all about my leadership style.
No, thank you. By the way, Praveena, I really love the purpose of your company as well, right? When you started, it's always exciting when I get to see that you have such a strong purpose where you wanted to empower people. You know, you're really making a difference in people's life, right? When young students, they come with a lot of aspirations, and with that aspirations, they join. They wanted to be learn from the best of the best trainers so they can go and make a difference. Making a difference to 5,000 people's life, it's not a small feat, right? So well done, kudos to you. I really love the purpose as well, and I think with that we both share the same purpose, right? The reason why am I doing this also to inspire young professionals who are listening to our podcasts so they can get some leadership insights from people like yourself. I'm going back to your leadership style as well, Praveena. I really love that authenticity and being vulnerability, right? I know we all start from being a micromanagement. It's easy, right? We always want to we wanted to get involved in each and every aspect. And I really love the way you said the fundamental role of a leader is to create more leaders, and you empowered your team to take decisions rather than you being involved in each and every step. So thank you, Praveena, for that. On that note, as you rightly said, right, you had such an amazing involvement, right, from being an educator to, your leadership style as well. Was there any defining moment in your leadership journey that you had a lot of learnings? And especially, I can imagine over a decade, right, you have seen so many things. Most recently, we can talk about COVID as well, right, where everybody was challenged, right? Things have changed. Even leadership styles evolved post-pandemic as well. I'm just wondering, is there any defining moment that kind of stands out? Was there any kind of learnings from that moment?
All right. Yeah. So pretty much during COVID is one of the challenge, right? So generally in business, we come across many challenges. Right? So that way, I don't see any big difference in COVID space, like handling people or leadership style. So every time, I have that habit of having the leadership style in the way that we need to embrace the change, right? So that is ultimate, I believe. And we have to delegate the work responsibly to people, right? So during the COVID, we would know that what kind of difficulties each and every person go through, right? So delegating responsibly is very, very important. I felt that. And we have to empower them and encourage them, culture of ownership, right? Whether you're working from home, working at office, doesn't matter, right? So you want certain things. You make sure that you deliver. So you should have the culture of ownership. Right? So that trust gives them kind of sense of ownership. Yes, my manager trusts me, so I have to deliver to the best, right? And I assure that a diverse and inclusive environment does wonders. And also we have to lead with empathy. So I always strive to put myself in others' shoes, understanding their perspectives and anticipating their needs, right? This perspective guided my decisions and interactions, right? It's all about creating a supportive and environment where everyone can flourish. Right? So it's not about like, I am doing this, I want to do this. We have to make this environment very supportive so that like everybody can flourish. Right? And being a good listener is also crucial here. Right? I will definitely say you will also accept this. Most of the time, listening is an underrated skill. Right? People talk about you have to have this, that, right? Leaders should have this listening skill. That makes big difference, I feel.
In fact, Praveena, I often talk about having connected listenings, right? When you're connected, and it's very easy that for you to hear, right? More, it's far more superior than active listening, right? I can listen to you, but I can echo what you say, but I might not be having connected. So it's very important, as you rightly touched upon, right? That collected listening. And you also touched upon a very good point about delegation, right? It's a fundamental art of a leader is to delegate, and the power of empathy, build meaningful connections.
Be successful, but our leadership journey, right? That's how like I'm enjoying now. That's very fulfilling with this kind of qualities.
So let me go a bit deeper on that one now, coming with your extensive experience in the education industry. I already touched upon that, right? And I think these some of the traits that you really, do you think these are the traits for a good leader, even to are vital for nurturing the next generation of leaders, especially now? What we talk about is the AI technology, AI industry. We're living in the generative AI era, right? Do you think the same set of skills or traits that you feel is it still required for us to even lead in the generative AI era?
Yeah, basically, so this is the buzz, right? Everybody is talking about Gen AI. Here, like, I just don't want to elaborate too much, but only one thing, like, I heard this somewhere, I believe, like somebody said this already, it's not my quote. So if you don't adapt to AI is not going to replace you.
Yes.
Use that AI is going to replace it. So we have to adapt to the new technologies. AI is one of the technology that is going to really help us to do our job effectively. Right? It's not going to replace us. Without us, like nothing is going to happen. People are important, right? So people are going to do everything. So that way, learn that new technologies. Now AI is emerging as the new technology. Learn that.
Sure, Praveena, you touched upon already the amazing culture as well. I mean, culture is like a wind, right? It is invisible, but it can be seen and felt. So how would you describe the culture at Maven Silicon? In what way it has contributed to your success as well, and your employee success, your team success?
Culture.
Yes.
Actually, it's a heartbeat of Maven Silicon, I would say.
Great.
Ethics, diversity, equity, and inclusion are not negotiable at Maven Silicon. Right? We pride ourselves on maintaining that. Why is this so important to us? Well, it's very pretty simple. It's about creating an environment where every individual feels valued, heard, and included, right? And that environment is the catalyst for our success. So we have created the space for every individual for their contribution, and we created this for them to thrive and contribute a lot of things to our collective success, right? And it's not just a checkbox on our to-do list, to be frank. It's a driving force, right? People say like culture, okay, culture, you have this. No, right? I'm repeating this. It's not just a checkbox on our to-do list. Right? It's actually the driving force, and it's at the core of what we do, right? And one more important aspect here, being in the education industry, we aspire to serve as role models for the younger generation we engage with. It's not just about imparting knowledge, right? It's about setting an example, fostering values, and inspiring the next way of leaders. And it's a responsibility we hold, understanding the impact our culture can have on shaping their values and aspirations. We have got most of our employees with us for over 5 years. I would say this is a testament for our empowering our culture.
That's very impressive, in fact, Praveena. And I think most of your workforce who are staying for a long time, in fact, I talked to several leaders. One of the biggest challenges, especially in small to medium businesses or SME enterprises, right? It's attracting and retaining talent. It's always a challenge, right? In this highly competitive business environment, you have workforce who have been loyal to you for such a long period of time. Such again goes back to it's the culture that you built. It's not a mere tick box, but it is fundamentally it's kind of getting best out of your team. It's having that growth mindset, that continuous learning and development. I really wanted to touch upon that employee engagement as well. Looking at what you're saying, Praveena, the way you have built a culture, I could really see that your employees are motivated and engaged. Are there any specific programs or initiatives can you think of how you get your employees get motivated, energized, and really driving your organization forward? Is there anything specific example or recent activity you can think of from an employee engagement perspective? I could see some of the pictures in LinkedIn. I know I wanted to say, like, I could see a lot of things which you talk about. Like I saw the Diwali celebrations. I could see a lot of how your employees going about beyond their normal duties and posting how great the culture was. Is there any kind of recent activities that you felt? Is it worth sharing from an example standpoint?
Yeah. So for that, like, I want to clear this point, right? So actually, at Maven, like, this employee engagement also evolved a lot, right? So initially, like, when our team was smaller, right, events like this Fun Fridays, Diwali celebrations, birthday celebrations, work anniversaries, and our annual all hands meet, those were all sufficient to maintain a sense of unity. So that way, like, we engage them, right? And how with our team expanding rapidly, right, it became a bit tricky to keep everyone on the same page. And if you see, actually, I spend more time interacting with the top line members, but could not allocate enough time for the bottom line team members, right? So maintaining the same level of engagement across the entire team became real struggle. So recognizing that challenge, I took a step back and decided to involve our next level leaders. I encouraged them to spend more time grooming their team members through specialized training and taking out their team for smaller eat-outs in a smaller group, right? So that they can interact more and then they can connect more with them, right? But by enforcing these smaller and specialized interactions, we not only address the engagement gap, but also ensure that everyone feels valued and connected, right? So whatever the engagement we do, we really need to make sure that, like, we are valuing them, right? We are getting connected with them, right? Not just the celebrations are going to give them the happiness, right? So how you're celebrating, right? Those things are very important. So the events are not the actual thing, right? How you're doing that engagement is the actual thing. So that we have to focus on, right? Actually speaking, while we made this kind of progress, like, the individual teams, they have achieved the great results, right? All these things, like, smaller interactions, smaller eat outs, like, going for team lunch, all those things, like, it gave very good results, right? But here is the interesting twist, right?
Okay.
The collaboration between the team has become a bit of challenge.
Okay.
Each individual team, they performed really well, but the collaboration between the team, that has become really a big challenge, right? So for that, then, like, I thought, like, what can be? So then to address this, I conducted some cross-functional team activities, right? So we just, like, plan an activity kind of, like, not with the same team, sales team, marketing team. Instead of having those teams, like, we just, like, jumbled everyone, formed the team, right? And we have given that activity to them to do it, like, assemble this kind of, right? So then, like, each team member, they have to, in that particular group, there are people from sales team, marketing team, technical team, right? So they have not worked along with them, right? So during that activity, they collaborated themselves, like, they understood the value of collaboration. So that was really a good activity, like, we did, and that gave great results. And with that activity, along with that, like some kind of brainstorming sessions among the team leads, those are very important, right? So aiming to emphasize the importance of team collaboration and foster the shared sense of responsibility, right? So that actually helped me a lot, like kind of talking to the team leads and understanding that like their difficulties, like what was the difficulties when they were interacting with the other teams to collaborate to come up with the shared responsibility, right? And given the ever-changing dynamics, I'm constantly exploring additional ways to maintain a strong sense of unity, team bonding, collaboration among all team members. It's an ongoing journey, and I'm open to exploring new ideas and strategies. Let me know if you have any insights or suggestions to share, because it's a billion-dollar question still.
Thank you. Thank you, Praveena. I think, look, I think that's the example that you shared, right? To be honest, it's not just you, Praveena. I think pretty much whoever I talk to, pretty much whoever leader you talk to, one of the biggest challenges is the people management. Especially you see, it's fair to say when it's people have that siloed, right? And how do you convert that from me to we is $1 million question, right? But what I wanted to recognize the fact that you mentioned that example, right? What I liked about Praveena is you, even though you are kind of way miles from the top, right? You see the problem, you're proactive enough to acknowledge that, and try to be creative enough to find a ways to kind of overcome that barrier. So that example you talked about, for example, team collaboration, right? And that's something kind of it's quite enriching, in fact, how you kind of acknowledge that, because if you don't fix the problem is only going to get bigger and bigger. But you're just trying to find a ways to kind of people getting in one and aligning to one shared kind of a goal, right? It's pretty impressive, in fact. And in terms of, look, I mean, what you're doing is pretty amazing there, Praveena, in terms of what we often talk about, having that multiple connections, right? Giving the reasons for employees to get connected. In fact, we define engagement as is where employees go above and beyond their normal duties to drive their performance and take their accountability and take your organization forward, right? It's pretty much what you've explained there. And I think, look, Praveena, some of the shared insights, so many leadership insights, just interacting with you is itself quite enriching, right from the way you started, evolved, to the leadership tips that you've talked about, giving delegation, right? Delegating. How do you solve the team ethos? How do you move from me to we culture? It's quite inspiring. So let me ask you one final question for you. What advice you would give to younger version of Praveena if you had to give an advice?
Should have their own personal values, right? So we should align our personal values with the aspiration of our company, right? That will give real success, right? That's how aligning my personal values and aspirations with the goals of Maven Silicon has been a journey rooted in principles that I hold close to me, right? So that is like it should be that integrity, trust,
okay,
and respect are not just words to me, right? They are the foundation upon which we have built an environment for our employees and customers, right? So those are aligning with my personal values, right? Be it students or corporates, right? Same thing, right? So we have to follow this everywhere, from personal to professional. So, and I'm actually deeply committed to nurturing this atmosphere and ensuring it thrives. So I would suggest for all the young leaders who are looking out, like, what can be. And above all, like, my ultimate goal, and I would suggest this to other leaders also, to find happiness in the work we do, right? While staying focused on our objectives. Let me give you a glimpse of our journey at Maven Silicon to illustrate how this commitment has played out. From the inception of Maven Silicon, Shiva and I wore multiple hats, from being trainers, lab assistants, program advisors, receptionists, to handling business development, accounts, HR, marketing, and you believe it or not, even housekeeping, right? Wow. So we started with a modest space and a small group of 5 students, along with just 3 employees, including us. And we have experienced exponential growth, now managing multiple batches in 20,000 square feet space, offering diverse training lines, fostering numerous corporate and academia partnerships, and creating a community of millions of satisfied learners with a team of 120 plus employees, right? Despite this growth, the essence of Maven Silicon remains the same as when we started, with the same dedication and commitment to our customers, right? And you know what the driving force behind the success is? It's our incredible team. Their belief in our vision and mission, their dedication to maintaining the culture we have worked hard to establish, they are the key to our continued success, right? So I'm grateful every day for the incredible team that believes in our journey. So we should have the personal values, and we have to align our personal values with the organizational goal, and that is all about, right? That's how, like, I'm nurturing a culture of integrity, trust, and respect while fostering a happy and dedicated team. So that would be the advice I.
This is amazing. This is great. In fact, Praveena, and I think the values that you've spoken about, right? The purpose, and there is a strong research, right? These days, especially young Zs, and they wanted to work for a company where there's a strong purpose, and you already have those ethos inbuilt in your culture, right? That strong purpose, and aligning not just organization purpose, aligning the employee's purpose to the organization purpose and their values is pretty inspiring as well. Your journey is inspiring. In fact, the way you started, right? You had to do a lot of things when you started with 3 people, right? For doing many hats to a stage where you have grown exponential. The most important is how you're making difference in people's lives. It's quite enriching, and your story is quite inspiring to many people, including me. And thank you, Praveena, for your wonderful time sharing your wisdom and insights. And I really wish you all the best and for your continued success. Thank you for making all the difference to your people, to the wider community as well.
To wrap it up, it was indeed a great pleasure sharing my insights on personal values, people, culture, challenges. I'm grateful for this opportunity, and I hope our listeners find this valuable. Looking forward to more engaging discussions in the future. Thank you so much for having me here, Kiran.
Thank you, Praveena.